There are moments in life when the heart feels heavy, when answers seem delayed, and when the night feels longer than it should. Moments when you whisper, "How much longer?" If you have ever felt that way, this message is for you. If you are struggling silently, this message is for you. If you are holding on with tired hands but a hopeful heart, this message is for you. Because there is a guarantee given by the one who never breaks a promise. Ease will come, not by chance, not by coincidence, but by divine design. Hardship is often misunderstood. Many people immediately assume that difficulty is a sign of punishment, rejection, or failure, when in reality it is very often a process of growth, refinement, and elevation. When ease surrounds us, we rarely pause to reflect, to correct ourselves, or to turn inward. Comfort can make the heart forgetful and the soul distracted, but hardship has a way of awakening what was asleep within us. It slows us down, forces us to think, and compels us to ask deeper questions about who we are, where we are going, and what truly matters. Through hardship, a person begins to see life more clearly, stripped of illusions and false guarantees, realizing that control was never truly in their hands to begin with. Hardship is a process because it shapes character in ways that ease never can. Patience is not learned when everything goes according to plan. It is learned when plans fall apart. Gratitude is not born when abundance is constant. It is born when blessings are scarce and still recognized. Strength does not emerge in moments of comfort, but in moments when the heart feels heavy and the body feels tired. Yet the person continues to move forward. Difficulty polishes the soul, much like friction polishes a rough stone, slowly transforming it into something smoother, stronger, and more beautiful than it was before. Many of the greatest transformations in a person's life come during seasons they never asked for. Loss teaches detachment, delay teaches trust, pain teaches humility, confusion teaches reliance. When everything is taken away except hope, a person learns where their true foundation lies. Hardship dismantles false dependencies and redirects the heart toward what is eternal rather than temporary. It teaches that people change, circumstances shift, and plans collapse, but purpose remains intact for those who continue to move with sincerity and patience. If hardship were merely punishment, it would serve no higher purpose beyond suffering. But hardship often comes with lessons that cannot be taught through comfort alone. It humbles the arrogant, softens the hardened, and strengthens the sincere. It exposes weaknesses so they can be addressed, not to shame a person, but to rebuild them more solidly. In this process, a person may feel broken, but in reality, they are being reshaped, prepared for a version of themselves that could never exist without walking through difficulty. The divine promise of ease is one that brings comfort to hearts weighed down by difficulty, reminding them that hardship is never isolated or endless. Ease is not something distant, delayed indefinitely, or reserved only for a select few. It is woven into the very fabric of every struggle. Even when the situation feels overwhelming and the path forward seems unclear, ease exists quietly alongside the hardship, sometimes unseen, sometimes unrecognized, but always present. It may come in subtle forms, a moment of calm within chaos, a door that remains open when others close, or a strength within the heart that did not exist before the trial began. Ease does not always arrive in the way people expect. Many assume that relief must look like immediate solutions or complete removal of pain, but divine ease often works deeper than surface-level comfort. Sometimes ease is the ability to endure without collapsing, the clarity to make the next right decision, or the reassurance that one is not alone in their struggle. It may appear as guidance at the exact moment confusion peaks, or as resilience that carries a person through days they never imagined they could survive. This form of ease strengthens the soul before it changes the circumstances, preparing the heart to receive what is written for it. The promise of ease is constant even when emotions fluctuate. Doubt, fear, and exhaustion can make it feel as though relief is far away, yet the promise does not weaken because of human perception. Just as the night feels longest before dawn, hardship often intensifies before relief becomes visible. This nearness of ease is a reminder that timing is precise, not delayed, and that every moment of waiting serves a purpose beyond immediate understanding. What appears as silence is often preparation, and what feels like delay is often alignment. Recognizing that ease is always near changes how hardship is experienced. It shifts the heart from despair to patience, from panic to trust. When a person truly believes that relief is close, they continue to move forward even when answers are incomplete. They learn to breathe through uncertainty, to remain grounded when the world feels unstable, and to hold on to hope without demanding immediate proof. This belief transforms struggle from a source of fear into a space of quiet confidence, where the heart learns to rest in the certainty that no hardship is ever sent without ease walking alongside it. Faith acts as an anchor for the heart when life becomes unpredictable and overwhelming. In turbulent times, when circumstances change suddenly and stability feels lost, faith provides an inner steadiness that cannot be shaken by external events. While the world may feel chaotic and uncertain, faith grounds a person in the understanding that there is wisdom behind every unfolding moment. It does not deny pain or difficulty, but it prevents the heart from drowning in fear. Instead of being controlled by anxiety, the believer learns to lean into trust, knowing that nothing occurs without purpose or awareness beyond human sight. When challenges intensify, the heart naturally seeks reassurance. Faith offers that reassurance by reminding the soul that it is never navigating hardship alone. It reassures the weary heart that there is a greater plan at work, even when the details remain hidden. In moments of loss, disappointment, or confusion, faith does not provide instant answers, but it offers something far more powerful: calm within the storm. This calm allows a person to think clearly, respond wisely, and endure patiently rather than reacting from a place of panic or despair. Faith also reshapes perspective during hardship. What once appeared as an unbearable burden begins to feel like a temporary phase within a much larger journey. Instead of asking why something is happening, the heart begins to ask what can be learned from it. This shift in perspective reduces emotional weight and creates space for reflection and growth. Faith teaches that turbulence does not mean abandonment, and that trials do not indicate failure. Rather, they often signal a moment of transformation where the heart is being trained to rely on something greater than itself. As faith strengthens, so does resilience. A heart rooted in belief learns to withstand pressure without breaking. It becomes patient during delays, hopeful during uncertainty, and composed during adversity. Faith does not remove hardship, but it changes how hardship is carried. The heart no longer collapses under the weight of difficulty because it trusts that relief, guidance, and reward exist beyond the immediate struggle. This trust allows the believer to move forward steadily, even when the path is unclear, holding on to certainty when everything else feels unstable. Prayer is often misunderstood as something reserved for moments of desperation, when all other options have been exhausted and hope feels distant. In reality, prayer is meant to be a constant lifeline, a direct connection that sustains the heart before, during, and after hardship. It is not an emergency exit, but a steady source of strength that keeps the soul alive through every phase of life. When a person turns to prayer consistently, they are not admitting defeat. They are acknowledging dependence on a power far greater than themselves, a dependence that brings clarity, peace, and direction. In times of hardship, prayer becomes a place of refuge where the heart can unload its fears without judgment. Words spoken in prayer do not need to be polished or perfect. Sincerity is what gives them weight. Through prayer, Confusion finds clarity, and heaviness finds release. Even when circumstances remain unchanged, the heart often emerges lighter, more focused, and more hopeful. This internal shift is one of the greatest forms of relief, as it equips a person to face external challenges with renewed strength and patience rather than exhaustion and despair. Prayer also reshapes the way hardship is perceived. Instead of viewing difficulty as something to escape at all costs, prayer allows a person to sit with their reality while trusting in a greater outcome. It nurtures patience, softens resentment, and replaces frustration with acceptance. In moments where answers are delayed, prayer teaches waiting without bitterness and hoping without anxiety. It reminds the heart that timing is deliberate and that silence does not mean absence. Every whispered prayer is heard, recorded, and responded to in the way that is best, even if that response unfolds gradually. When prayer becomes a lifeline, it influences action and behavior. A person who prays consistently begins to move with intention, humility, and awareness. Decisions are made with greater care, reactions become more measured, and the heart remains connected to purpose, even in the midst of struggle. Prayer strengthens resilience, fuels perseverance, and keeps hope alive when circumstances suggest otherwise. It turns isolation into companionship and weakness into reliance, allowing the believer to remain steady and grounded even when the weight of hardship feels overwhelming. Trust is often spoken about as a quiet state of the heart, but true reliance is never passive. Action is the visible proof of inner trust, demonstrating that belief is not merely a feeling but a commitment expressed through effort. To rely while remaining motionless is to misunderstand the nature of trust. Genuine reliance moves forward even when the path is unclear and the outcome uncertain. It acknowledges that while ultimate control does not lie in human hands, responsibility and effort still do. Action transforms trust from a concept into a living practice. Reliance that moves is grounded in balance. It avoids arrogance by recognizing personal limitations, yet it rejects helplessness by embracing responsibility. A person who truly trusts does not sit back waiting for change to arrive. They pursue it with sincerity and perseverance. They plan, strive, and exert effort while understanding that results are guided beyond their own ability. This mindset creates peace because success is no longer measured solely by outcomes, but by the sincerity of effort. Even when attempts fall short, the heart remains at ease, knowing it fulfilled its role. Action also protects trust from stagnation. Without movement, trust can slowly turn into doubt, frustration, or despair. When a person takes steps forward, even small ones, hope remains alive. Each effort becomes an act of worship, a declaration that belief is strong enough to motivate progress. Movement reinforces conviction, reminding the heart that reliance is dynamic, not static. It builds momentum, turning fear into courage and uncertainty into determination. In hardship, action can feel exhausting, yet it is often what keeps the heart from collapsing. Effort provides structure in chaos and purpose in pain. It redirects focus from what cannot be controlled to what can be done. Through action, reliance becomes visible not only to others but to the individual themselves, strengthening confidence and resolve. Moving forward despite fear reflects deep trust because it accepts vulnerability while refusing to surrender to paralysis. In this way, action completes reliance, allowing trust to breathe, grow, and remain alive even in the most challenging circumstances. Hardship has a unique ability to refine a person in ways that comfort never can. When life applies pressure, it exposes what lies beneath the surface, revealing both strengths and weaknesses with clarity. In moments of ease, flaws often remain hidden and unaddressed, but difficulty brings them into the light, not to humiliate, but to purify. Just as intense heat refines precious metals, hardship removes what is unnecessary, sharpens character, and strengthens resolve. Through struggle, intentions become clearer, priorities are reordered, and the heart learns sincerity over superficiality. As hardship refines, it also elevates. The person who endures difficulty with patience and humility often emerges with a deeper sense of awareness and maturity. Trials stretch emotional and spiritual capacity, teaching endurance, compassion, and self-discipline. Experiences that once seemed unbearable become sources of wisdom, enabling a person to support others with empathy rather than judgment. Elevation does not always manifest in status or recognition. It often appears as inner strength, emotional stability, and clarity of purpose. Hardship lifts a person beyond their former limits, expanding their understanding of themselves and the world around them. Hardship also serves as a powerful redirection. Many paths in life are pursued out of habit, comfort, or expectation rather than alignment with true purpose. Difficulty interrupts these paths, forcing a pause that invites reflection. What once seemed essential may lose its importance, while neglected values regain significance. Through loss, delay, or disappointment, a person is often guided away from what would have eventually harmed them and toward what will nurture their growth. This redirection may initially feel like rejection, but over time it reveals itself as protection and guidance. In this process of refining, elevating, and redirecting, hardship reshapes identity. It teaches resilience without hardening the heart and humility without diminishing self-worth. The struggle becomes a turning point, marking the transition from who a person was to who they are becoming. Though the journey may be painful and uncertain, it carries within it the potential for transformation, leading the individual toward a version of themselves that is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with their true path. In reflecting on hardship, one truth becomes clear: difficulty is never empty, meaningless, or abandoned. Every trial carries wisdom, every delay carries purpose, and every struggle carries the promise of relief. When hardship is met with faith, the heart finds stability instead of collapse. When it is met with prayer, the soul finds connection instead of isolation. When it is met with action, trust becomes alive and hope continues to move forward. Through this balance, hardship transforms from a source of fear into a path of growth. The promise of ease remains firm, not as a distant hope, but as a constant companion through every challenge. Even when relief is unseen, it is present in strength, clarity, patience, and guidance. Faith steadies the heart, prayer nourishes the soul, and action gives direction to reliance. Together, they create a foundation that allows a person to endure without losing themselves and to struggle without surrendering hope. Hardship refines character, elevates perspective, and redirects lives toward what is better and more lasting. It strips away false securities and replaces them with resilience and trust. When these moments are embraced with sincerity and perseverance, they become turning points rather than breaking points. What once felt overwhelming becomes a testimony of strength, and what once felt heavy becomes a means of elevation, reminding every heart that ease is promised, guidance is present, and no sincere struggle is ever in vain.